celebrities live pretty glamorous lives, but we also know that some of them have to deal with pretty crazy fans. In some cases, superfans turn into bona fide stalkers, following celebrities around and even breaking into their homes. Stay tuned as we give our 2 cents on the dehumanization of celebrities.
It's just 2 girls giving their 2 cents.
All right, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We are going to be talking about all things celebrities and fandoms, super stalking, and the dehumanization of celebrities. So I would like to start off with the definition of fandom, but according to the Urban Dictionary, there are 7 different definitions of the word fandom, and each one gets more and more intense. I won't read all of them off, but I'm going to read the first 4 that are listed, and just listen to how gradually more intense these get. So the first one was, a fandom is a group or community of people who like a game, book, or specific topic. Usually on social media, a fandom is not an uncommon sight. Kind of normal, right?
Yeah.
Like, it sounds very normal.
I've never been, like, knee-deep in a fandom, but I definitely, like, stalk the fandom accounts. Like, I've never made one myself, but I've definitely, like, visited them for some little facts and information.
Well, just see how more intense these get. So the next one, the second one on urbandictionary.com, it says, an innocent word used for describing a cult of sleep-deprived people who obsess over one or multiple comics, books, TV shows, movies, video games, etc.
I love how it says sleep-deprived.
I know, and that's so intense. I was like, oh, wait. But they get
so
worse.
rude.
They get way worse. The next one is short. It's the third one down. It was a cult that will destroy your life. I was like, holy smokes. Now, the fourth one is my favorite one because it's the most intense. It is a satanic cult that will destroy you and everything you love. They will take control of your mind and break it so you think about nothing but your ships, fanfics, and fan art. Don't try to fight back. Just sell them your soul while you fangirl screech to the grave. Those are the real definitions that are on urbandictionary.com.
It's okay, but it's Urban Dictionary.
It's Urban Dictionary, so I jumped over to the actual dictionary definition, which is way less intense. It's more normal. It is the state or condition of being a fan of something or someone. So that's normal.
That's a little less intense.
But Urban Dictionary is like, this is where you would, like, internet for fans.
Internet slang. You
slang,
would maybe hit up Urban
So I
Dictionary.
went over there and I was like, a satanic cult. It's intense. So have you ever been you just said you weren't really a fandom person. Like, you went over there and, like, dipped your toe in the water, but you never really, like, dove in deep.
I have never. Okay, so I'm trying to think. Like, currently, I really only stalk like artists and bands that I like. So, like, sometimes if, like, they have, like, albums coming out or stuff like that, like, I'll, like, visit the fandoms to, like, check out, like, their predictions and stuff like that. But I've never gone so far as to, like, make a fan account. When I was younger, I used to love Twilight and the Jonas Brothers and, like, all Disney Channel people. So that's when I feel like I dipped into more, like, fan fictions where it was, like, stories written about them that were completely not true and just, like, ridiculous and dreamy and romantic.
Yeah, definitely kind of smutty. I've glanced over at those in my youth. I personally, I guess the biggest fandom I was a part of was the Finchel one, the Glee one with Rachel and Finn.
Yeah.
But we were not, like, I was not a huge fan, like, I wasn't, like, a leader, or I didn't have, like, necessarily a blog. I did do Tumblr, like, I would just post a bunch of pictures of Corey Monteith all the time, and I got a decent following, and then I forgot the password and couldn't log back in, so that dream kind of died. But when I was a part of that, like, group when I was younger, it was just very sexual. Yeah. Like, everyone that wrote a fanfic, it was super sexual. Any type of, like, art that they morphed together was very sexual. So I think that's a very interesting thing that, like, I was young. I mean, I'm not young. I was in high school at the time, so I had to have been maybe, like, a freshman or sophomore. And that's, like, you're young, but you're not, like, old enough to really understand what's going on, and you're making all these, like, graphic art or, like, these really graphic writings, and it's very interesting that these fandoms and fan fictions and all that, just like you basically take these people and write about them in a way where it almost seems realistic, but also it's like intense. It's like really intense.
I think too, in many ways, it's like you become so attached to these celebrities and like public figures that you want to write the story. Like you want the ending that you want, and like for like Glee and stuff like that, like PG stuff.
Yeah.
You want it. You want to know what it's like when they have sex. Like you want to know the stuff that isn't gonna be on TV. So I think that's where this like obsession with like fandoms came from. I honestly do think it came from like wanting to make things that are PG, like R-rated, and like going beyond what was written. But I think it's kind of like gotten out of hand to the point where like some of it's so realistic that like it gets published as like stories, like news stories, and there's like very like fine lines of like what's okay and what's not okay. And I think it's really like getting kind of muddy.
It's very interesting. I have a list from people.com. They listed the top 11 craziest celebrity fandoms. So not even just like show fandoms they have like what you said, you follow bands and like actual people. There are fandoms like that. So number 1, which I don't think is a shocker to any of us, is the Directioneers. Those fans are intense. I've definitely, like, we had talked off the mic a little bit before when we were discussing what topics we should talk about, and I have this girl that I went to high school with who would literally, she would go to the airport when they would be coming in, and she would wait for them, and then they would go to every concert and every meet and greet until the point now she's actually friends with them.
That's wild.
She's got herself in that group. She did what people think is impossible.
Yeah.
She would be like going downtown. She would hear in the city that they were at a Starbucks, and she would go to like every Starbucks until she found them in an area where their hotel was.
Yeah.
Like that is intense to me. Could you imagine just being in like a city that you're not from, first of all, not knowing where you are, having these crazed fans just following you and wanting to know your every move and knowing where you're sleeping that night and wanting to talk to you and wanting to get a picture with you. Like, that is intense.
Yeah.
Like, we tend to forget that these celebrities are real humans.
Yeah.
Like, they're just going for a coffee. They don't want to have to come talk to you.
Yeah. I feel like I used to kind of have that mindset of, like, anytime I'd go to a concert, I'm like, I really want to meet them. Like, let's find out what hotel they're at. Let's do this.
That's normal.
But,
or not the hotel part, but, like, meeting them after the concert.
Yeah.
Like, that's a common thing people do. They'll wait for them to go to their fan bus. Like,
right.
their
but now I
tour
think
bus.
about it, I'm like, that's so, like, these are just people, like, they're, they will meet you if you pay to go to the show. And I mean, in most experience I've had, like, the celebrities are, like, pretty decent and, like, kind to their fans even when they're outside the venue. But, like, that's one thing. That's a paid show. There's security. They're willingly there. When you're, like, following them to, like, their hotel and, like, invading their privacy, I feel like it's just so intrusive and, like, creepy. Because it's, like, your friend, not to roast your friend, but, like, what is she hoping will happen? Like, does she just want to meet them and, like, take a picture, or does she want to, like...
I really think it was, like, friendship thing. And she got it. She did what she set out to do. Like, she is actually friends with, I want to say, like, Niall and Harry. Those are, like, the two people she will hang out with. It's interesting. It's very interesting, and I think it's bizarre because through her... Like, I never went with her anywhere. She would talk about it. I thought it was cool that she would find them. I thought it was, like, not necessarily fair to the celebrity that they were doing it, but I thought it was interesting that she had all this insight and could figure out where they were, which is also terrifying for, like, a celebrity standpoint. But she would tell me about all these things, and there were the same fans. Like, you knew. Like, she knew, like, the top fan.
Yeah.
Like, all these top fans were celebrities in the fandom.
Yeah.
Like, she knew who they were. People knew who she was.
But do they not figure out that she's, like, a super fan?
They definitely gotta know, because if she's at all the meet and greets, she comes to concerts that aren't even in where she's from. Like, she would fly to California to go to some concerts.
Right.
Like, that is intense. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. I think there's, like, I know there's a few, like, celebrities that have, like, ended up with fans, like, dated them. but I don't know a lot of like successful stories of like celebrity fan relationships. I think that is kind of partially why a lot of the times celebrities date other celebrities, because they know one, they get it, but two, they're probably not like a super fan. They're not gonna be super weird and like
And they know the business.
stalkerish.
Yeah, they know
Yeah.
the business. They know what's up. Like, I know for Kurt Cobain, Courtney, who he was dating, who he has a child with, has passed. He's dead. But she was a groupie. And
Really?
and she got pregnant, and then there are all the weird conspiracies that she actually killed him. Like it was a suicide,
Yeah.
but there's like all these documentaries out about how she actually killed him to get his money.
Yeah, I've seen
So I
that.
wonder if there's a lot of that with celebrities where they want the normal life and they want to date somebody who's quote unquote normal, but that'll never happen because you always have that fear. Are they only with me because I'm famous? Are they only with me because of my
Right.
money? Are they only with me for connections? Like what? Why are they with me? Do they actually like me? So it's a very weird situation. And both of us
yeah.
aren't famous. Like if we dated somebody, we know that they're dating us because they like us for the most part.
I mean, we're famous. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I just think, yeah, it'd be really hard to trust anyone. I guess I'm thinking even famous people, because as I was saying, like, oh, celebrities know other celebrities aren't, like, super fans. They very well could be. Like, Haley Baldwin was, like, a super fan of Justin Bieber. And she used to always tweet, like, oh, I'm going to marry Justin Bieber. And she did. She did it. I mean, she has her own fame from, you know, one, being born into a famous family, but two, being a model and doing her own thing. But she did tweet to him in her youth, like she was a fan before she was Mrs. Bieber.
That's actually really funny because the second on the craziest celebrity fandom list is Beliebers. And I think when he was at his peak, like now not so much, I don't think they are as wild, but when he was at his peak, when he was a young kid and starting off in the business, he had his fans. And they made it very known in all of his music videos. He always had like a squad of girls chasing him or something in all of his music videos.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes celebrities kind of like support that though.
I think in a way, when you're starting out, I think it's really exciting and fun. And like I know for some celebrities, I'm trying to think of some names off the top of my head, but I can't. But Austin Mahone or Mahoney, I don't know how to say his last name.
Where is he?
I don't know, but there was a time when he was in Chicago and he tweeted out, "Come to Millennium Park, I'm gonna be here," and they had to like, I don't know, escort him off the premise because he was causing a mishap with like traffic. Yeah. So I think I think it's just really exciting for new and younger, like for maybe high school age celebrities to have that kind of fame and that kind of power.
Yeah.
So they really enjoy it. And I feel like when people get older and have been in the business for a while, they're sick of it. They just don't. They understand in a way why people are kind of following them, not following them, but like are fans of them. And they like, I know a lot of celebrities like hearing, you helped me out of my depression. Like, you really turned my life around. Like, you really helped me. And I know a lot of them really appreciate hearing that. But if they could hear that without being followed into, like, a airport bathroom,
right,
they'd really appreciate it more kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, I feel like maybe was talking to you about this. Like, after hearing that so many times, like, how much of an impact is it going to have on you? You know what I mean? I guess, like, obviously, if you're a good person, like, you're always gonna feel something when people say that. But I think when it becomes, like, toxic and intrusive and, like, people are just, like, coming up to you and you don't necessarily, like, want it and they're saying stuff like that, you're maybe not gonna be as, like, emotionally, like, affected by that.
And sometimes I bet there are those situations where there's people that are telling you that are still not mentally all there.
Yeah.
And they cling on to you and they're like, thank you for helping me. Keep helping me. I need you to do this. And you can't always be on your game all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, too, to go back to your point, like younger celebrities, like enjoying the fame. We just talked about YouTubers on our last episode. Like, you see these YouTubers that YouTubers are, not the traditional celebrity, but many of them have millions of plus followers, and they're just doing it all from their house. They have like so many followers. A lot of them have like fans coming to their house, like stalking them to the point of like finding where they live and like showing up at their door. I feel like with Hollywood, like I don't know if that a lot of YouTubers live in Hollywood, but I mean like the traditional like movie star, superstar, rock star, like it's rare that you have large groups of people going to your house. Like you hear
That's true.
you hear situations where like an actual like stalker will show up, but like I know like Kendall Jenner had a stalker show up, but like I remember Jake Paul when they had the Team 10 house, like
The first one.
yes, there was like kids with their parents outside of that house every single day, and the parents just thought like I don't know what these parents are just like so absent-minded or like what, but they thought it was okay to do that.
I find it so weird when parents are, I mean, I guess it's nice that the parents are trying to watch their children, but it's also like, why are you even allowing this? Why are you making this an okay thing to do?
Yeah.
How would you like it if you were sitting at home with your kids that you have and you see like a family outside your house watching you? Like, that's just
Right.
so weird. Like, put yourself in their shoes. How would you like it having somebody screaming like, I love your videos, I want your autograph all the time, when you're just trying to chill at home, watch TV, whatever? You don't want to tell them to get off your property because you don't want to be rude, but you're also like, get off my property, please. Yeah, that is something that is so weird to me.
There was also Jenna Marbles. She said that like somebody rang their doorbell and it was a mom, and she was like, does Jenna, like her boyfriend answered and was
I saw
like, does
that.
Jenna Marbles live here? Like what? My mom would never do that ever, but like who in their right frame of mind like thinks they can go to someone's house and do that?
And just like be all like, hey, sign this for me, or can you make a video for my daughter, or whatever
Yeah.
it is. I think it's bizarre. For the girl that I know from high school, the one that is now a friend with some of the One Direction men, her mom would pay for her to fly out to California. Like, the mom wouldn't go with her, or she might, I don't remember, but she would pay for her daughter to go to California to go to these concerts.
That's
I'm like, holy
insane
smokes,
to
what is
me.
this? What is this?
It's so I feel like it's so toxic for parents to like encourage that, but I mean, not a parent, so I can't really.
Yeah, I know for a fact that if I'm a parent and well, backtrack. I think it's odd when a young person, like if they're that obsessed about something to the point of wanting to stalk them and find their house and know everything about them, wouldn't you think that's kind of like a weird cry for help? Like, there's something wrong where you want to stalk. I understand it's kind of like a fun little game, like, oh, I found them in the Starbucks in Chicago and I got a picture. Like, it's kind of like a weird game, like
Yeah.
a success thing. But also, if you're that crazed where you're trying to find them and find out everything about them and you have posters all over your room, it's just like a gateway to like a stalking
Yeah.
situation in real life. Like, if you, like, let's say that like some guy held the door open for me, and from that point, like, have you seen You on Netflix?
I haven't watched it
I
yet.
haven't watched it yet, but it's kind of like that situation. I've seen the trailers and people have been talking to me about it, but it's that situation where you just become so obsessed, and since you're so good at finding out information and just being good at like utilizing all of your sources online and even like just knowing people in certain areas, that is like very dangerous in a real life situation.
Yeah.
If you were doing that to any normal human being, you'd have a restraining order on you ASAP.
Right. Well, and we're so connected. Like, I think that's a huge issue now with social media. Like, when I was 12, I'm in love with the Jonas Brothers. Okay, I guess we had social media when we were 12, but I mean, I didn't personally have social media when I was 12. I had a Facebook, but it was like, my mom was like on my Facebook. I was
same.
like, it was very monitored. And I mean, parenting
That's how
styles.
it should be now.
Parenting, like, I can't say like, oh, all parents buy their kids iPhones and let them have social media. But I will say from personal experience, when I worked doing like the before and after school program at an elementary school, and I was like with elementary age students, a lot of them had phones. A lot of them were on their phones. A lot of them had Snapchat and Instagram and, you know, all these accounts that you can find a lot of information about people. I could never find out where the Jonas Brothers were. I could see, like, a picture of them at a premiere that already happened. But now, you know, with Snapchat, like, location tagging, like, people put a filter, like, oh, I'm in Los Angeles at frozen yogurt place. And then before you know it, there's, like, a group of people there. And I think even paparazzi, like, it's an easier way for paparazzi to find people, too. Like, it's just becoming more and more, like, invasive. And I think, like, I remember I was watching, like, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and Kylie Jenner, don't judge me for watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but, like, the sisters were, like, yelling at her because she kept putting her location tag on everything. And she was like, what? It's fine. And then she had, like, a stalker show up. Like, a stalker situation.
Yeah, that is always... We do, unfortunately, live in an age where being connected and being connected right away is so easy. Like, we have Instagram stories now where you can just take a picture of you driving, and then you see, like, well, not a picture of you driving, but, like, a picture of the road, and you can see where that is. Like, if you know where that is, you could be like, oh... Like, if I was famous, they'd be like, oh, Ashley is doing this at this street, which means she's probably going here, or whatever it is. We're just always so in touch all the time.
Yeah.
And it's, in a way, it can be good, but with this personal, or this situation in general, is not good for celebrities. And I don't think it's fair that they have to censor themselves on their own platforms because people can't control themselves and be normal. Like, they have to, oh, they're going to Starbucks. I need to go get an autograph for my cousin or to sell it online or whatever. Like, people can't just be people. Nobody is ever just, like, being a person and just realizing, hey, I'm a person. They're a person. Let's not be weird about this. Like, they may be well-known and, like, a celebrity, have a lot of money or whatever, but, like, hey, we're both just people. We're the same.
Well, I even think about Snap Maps. Like, someone invented Snap Maps, like, I don't know what the intention was. I can't think of a good intention for why people would need that. I guess it's nice to see, like, people that are around you, but, like, honestly, it's just a way to stalk people.
I turn it off. The only people that can see me is my roommate, my mom, my brother. Who else? I think I have a couple cousins on, like, family members, because you can pick who can see you.
Yeah.
So in a way, I guess it's helpful for them to see where I am. Yeah. But it only works if I log in, you know? Like, if you don't log in for a whole day, and I was home in the beginning when I opened it, but then I went all over the place and I don't open it, it's not helpful.
Right. I mean, I guess it's good that you can change the settings, but I'm just more so thinking for, like, these younger kids
who don't understand that.
Yeah, but, like, even setting up a Snapchat account. Say I'm a 12-year-old and I set up a Snapchat account. My immediate thought as a 12-year-old, I mean, okay, just putting myself in a 12-year-old of today's position, like, I'm not thinking, oh, let me make sure all my privacy settings are on, you know? People can have public Snapchat accounts.
Yeah.
A 12-year-old could have a Snapchat account public with their map location on, with their stories public, like, and not even be like aware that they're doing that. Like, I just think it's insane that there's not more, like, privacy shouldn't be optional. Like, it's an option you have to set up. I feel like on most social media accounts, I feel like it should come that way.
Where
and if you want it off, just for, like, kids' safety. I'm just going on a side tangent now, but, like, I'm just really thinking about how uneducated kids would be.
And there
in these situations.
You're right, when you were talking about parents just standing with their kids at these celebrities' houses. Like, there are parents that are just not, I don't want to say fitted to be parents, but they're just not there. Like, they don't understand that this is the real world. Like, you should not be stalking these celebrities with your children. You shouldn't be condoning this kind of behavior.
Right. That's
so it's
more
like,
so. You shouldn't be encouraging your kids to do that.
And it's also, like, there's that, and then there's also, with the social media, don't let your 12-year-old have a phone or a Snapchat or a Facebook. like, I didn't get a cell phone, and it was like a flip phone. It wasn't even a smartphone. I didn't get a phone until I was in middle school, because at that point, my mom was, like, picking me up, and I would have to call her in case I didn't see her, or if she was going to be running late or something like that. That was the only reason I had a cell phone, was to communicate with my mom if I didn't see her, or if she was running an errand and she was going to be late for picking me up, or whatever it was going to be. And I didn't even get a Facebook until I begged her, because I had a crush on this boy, and I wanted to see if he had a face. Oh, my mom had a Facebook, so I asked her to look him up, and when he was on there, my mom was like, okay, fine, you can have a Facebook, but you can't. She told me I couldn't use my face as my profile picture. I couldn't use my real last name, and I had to have all the privacy settings on, and I could only friend people from my family, from school, and from, I want to say maybe, like, sport teams that I was on. Like, that was it. And she was there, like, most of the time when I was
monitoring
it. Yeah, she was, like, watching me on it. She was seeing who I was friends with. She had my password. She still has my password. She has my Snapchat password, my phone login. She has my Facebook, my Tumblr. She has it all. And I am 21 years old. So it works, because I'm not being stalked. I'm not stalking anyone. I'm no, but, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
as much of a hover mom as that sounds, probably to most people out there, because there's a lot of parents that are not like that.
Yeah,
like, I'm a pretty good kid. Like, I didn't get in trouble ever with, like, police for anything illegal. I didn't get bullied online. I've been very fortunate, and I think it had a lot to do with my mom just having, like, not a rein on me. Like, she loosened it up as I got older. Like, she has all my passwords, but she doesn't go on it with me. Like, she's not watching me do it. She doesn't care who I'm friends with, as long as, like, she trusts that I know who I'm being friends with on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. So it's just, like, having a parent or some type of guardian that is more showing you the ropes and showing you how to be a civil human being to other human beings, or, like, how to protect yourself. That is really where it all stems from, when celebrities, like, wrapping it back up, when celebrities are being dehumanized, it's like just having a person that is a good role model, like a good person that kind of mellows you out. Because if you have a parent that allows you to go to the city and find them at the local Starbucks, then that's already, like, in your mind, you're like, this is okay to do. I'm allowed to go stalk these people and find out where they are and bother them when they're just trying to hang out.
I'm so torn on this, like, particular topic, because I can see, like, both sides of it. Because I mean, as a celebrity, like, you want to, like, you are human. I mean, that's the whole point of this episode. Like, these celebrities are so, like, idolized and put on a pedestal, for lack of a better term. But at the same time, you have, like, kids that worship you, that are paying your bills. You know, supporting you constantly, sharing your music, you know, even people that make the fan accounts, as crazy as they may be, like, they're creating a community of people that are celebrating you, basically. I know, I mean, I'm, like, really into Ariana Grande right now for some reason. I'm just, like, I think her story, like, of all that's going on with her is really interesting. So had been, like, following her a lot, and now on my Instagram, like, discover, I don't know if you've ever, like, just, like, randomly, like, scroll through. I always get, like, Ariana Grande, like, fan accounts, and some of them are so absurd and just, like, unnecessary, like, them guessing and being crazy, but most of it is just, like, nice.
Yeah,
it's just, like, a nice place that fans can go and interact with each other, and I think it's fun. Fandoms.
It is definitely a community. I won't deny that. And in a way, I can understand, as a young teen or even our age, having a community that has similar interests. It is very nice, because then, you know, like, hey, they have seen this movie that this actress or actor was in, so we can talk about that. Like, you can make friends that way. Like, Comic-Cons are very big. Like, they're probably the biggest fandom of just a genre. And the people that they're fans of aren't necessarily real people. They're, like, cartoons or anime characters, or sometimes they're, like, comic book characters or Marvel characters, whatever. So it's a little different for that, but they're probably the biggest. Like, they'll dress up as the characters.
Yeah, I'm going to C2E2, which is kind of like Chicago's
Comic-Con
type of thing.
Those
and
are fun.
it's fun. Like I see the positive aspect. Like I see the community aspect of it, and like I think it can be fun, but it can turn harmful very quick. And I
Yeah,
think especially for like children that are like consuming like unhealthy behavior but don't know it is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like if they're not getting the right guidance or hanging out with the wrong people of the fandom.
Right. Cuz I feel like the internet, I mean, we were luckily like raised as the internet was like being raised. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like we were there. I had a actual like boxy computer with the big back
Yeah,
on it
I
and
did
like the
too.
tower. So yeah,
I feel like we kind of like have
I
a
played
little
on
bit
Paint.
more like knowledge almost. I can't imagine being like born right now into
No.
it and like trying to understand. Like I think about like one, I have like 2-year-old nieces and they like my niece can take my phone and take pictures. And she loves Snapchat cuz she loves doing the filters. But I'm like, what do they think this even is? Like
Like, do they understand that it is going out to a larger mass audience if you send it to your story or other people?
do they understand that the Snapchat needs to be private?
You show them
I
this
sit
podcast
down with them.
later. Yeah.
But I don't know where exactly I was going with that. But I find it interesting and scary at the same time because it can be so positive, but it's scary. And I mean, for a celebrity, you're kind of electing to put yourself out there as
Well,
a public
definitely.
figure.
You know, I feel like most people know going into that business that this is a possibility.
Yeah.
So I do understand your side of being more like, hey, these are your fans. Yes,
Yeah.
they might be following you and you don't want to talk to them, but
I
they
just-
are the reason you are where you are.
I get a smidge annoyed at celebrities that are like so like just give me my privacy, blah 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 blah. Like
Yeah.
I get it, but at the same time, like
I hate when you love a celebrity. Like I love Vince Vaughn with all my heart.
oh we
Team
know.
VV all the way. I've seen all of his movies, love him. But I know somebody who has met him and he was kind of rude. And I've seen some interviews where he comes off kind of rude. And it's very
Yeah.
disheartening because I'm like, dang, if I ever met you, I wouldn't even walk up to him. Like if I was in the same room with him, unless I had to talk to him for something, like if I was working and I just he happens to be an interview that I have to bring him into a room, that would be the only time I would walk up to him, because other than that, I wouldn't want to talk to him because I would be scared that he wouldn't be like in a pleasant mood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's always that where it's like, I would love
kinda
to be like,
sad.
hey, I've seen all your movies. I really like your movies. And I'm a young gal. You would think that he'd be like, oh, hey. But he probably wouldn't be. He'd probably just be like, meh. Like, thank you, but also get away. But he's also been in the business a really long time. So there are those celebrities who are just kind of over it. Like you said earlier on in the podcast. Like, are they did like it when they were starting out and then now they're just so sick of it? But then you
But
wonder.
do you have a choice?
Yeah. That's
After a
very
certain point, I don't know.
That's very true.
I
So,
feel like I mean everyone's entitled to privacy, but you're electing to be a public figure. You're not going to be able to go get. I keep referring to frozen yogurt for some reason. It's just like coming to my
Froyo.
brain when I think of like celebrities going out. But like, okay, you're making millions of dollars. You're having huge concerts. You're a movie star. You're this. You're that. That's the sacrifice you make. Now you can't go get frozen yogurt whenever you want without a bunch of people coming and chasing after you, which sucks, but look at all the other things you have. Like,
true. I definitely do see your side. So I think collectively we can agree that fandoms are a good community when treated correctly, and super stalking is where the line gets drawn. That's where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
tone it down a smidge. You can be a fan, you can be a fandom, you can go to the concerts, you can see the movie premieres, you can all those things, like just whatever.
Just
But
be
like when it
cool.
comes to trying to go to their house and like ringing their doorbell and asking them, hey, do you live here? Like that's where it just kind of like, okay, you don't know them on a personal level, and though it may seem like it because you've like studied them, you've watched all their interviews, you've gone to their concerts, you've seen their movies, like you feel like you know them at that point, you kind of have to remember cognitively, that word came out really bad, cognitively, that in your brain a detached. Like, you don't know them, they don't know
Right.
you. And I know that can be harder for younger people and even older people who have been following the same celebrities over and over again, because it's like you feel like you know them. You watch them in interviews. You listen to their music, and you feel like you understand them, and you can relate or talk about things, or you find out they have a similar interest that you have. And I can understand where it is very like, okay, I know these people. They may not know me, but I'm gonna be like, hey, big fan of yours. You helped me out of this depression, whatever it may be. So it can be. It's a hard. There is a fine line, and once you cross it, it's like, okay, wow, you are a super fan, and you're going a little crazy. But then there's also like, are you just not? Are you crazy, or are you just somebody who is like, you just feel like you know them? Because my friend, I feel like in her mind, she felt like she knew them. So then when she kept meeting them more and more and more, she finally did get to know them. And they were like, okay,
Yeah.
you're not crazy. You're not going to kill me. Why not just be your friend? Like, why make this difficult?
Yeah. I can see that. I think the super stalking, I mean, where it gets to scary levels is like people genuinely do think I know them. I know them as a person because I follow them so closely on social media, and I stalk what the paparazzi does, and I watch all their interviews, and I watch their movies. Like, I think I referenced this in our last episode, but nobody is going to act the way they act in real life when there's a camera in front of them, or when they're
So
speaking
true.
into a microphone, or doing an interview. Like, that's not them.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's not a person. Like, that's what they want. I don't know. Does that make sense? Like, am I going on a tangent again?
That definitely makes sense. I'm going to take that and like run with it, but like when you say that, it's very true because they're putting on this persona. Like, this is my acting persona, but like we had touched on it earlier on in the podcast. It was like they have bad days too. So if you happen to run into your favorite celebrity on a bad
Yeah.
day, like if I went and saw Vince Vaughn and he was just having a bad day, and I was like, hey, Vince, what's up? Big fan. And he was just kind of like, meh, don't talk to me. That's where I think in our mind, like, yes, they definitely have to understand that we're the reason that they are where they are for the most part. But I understand, too, as a human being, you do have bad days. You feel bad about yourself. You don't think you look too good. You don't want to take a picture because you think you feel gross. Like, we have to remember as fans, or fandoms have to remember as fans, or like stalkers have to remember as like super stalkers, whatever they are, that they're not always going to be on their A game, that they're not always going to be like, oh, thank you so much for supporting me. Like, there are going to be days where they're just like, thank you, but also get away from me. I'm not in the mood. And we have to
100%.
understand that because that's how we are in like, there are days where I'm like, yeah, I love talking to you, but hey, give me some time. I just want to be alone, And I think that's really where the dehumanization comes from, because we just think they're always on their A game. They're always like how they are in their interviews. They're always like how they are in their movies or whatever. And to really just understand them as people, we just have to treat them like, oh, hey, they might have a bad day. Oh, they might. Like, if you run into them at, I say Starbucks, not sponsored at all, but like, if you run into them at Starbucks and they're there and you're like, hey, I'm a big fan of yours, and they're just not feeling it, or they're like, oh, thank you, how's it going, blah, blah, blah. Like, that happens, and sometimes it's a great encounter, sometimes it's not a great encounter. And I feel like I may have mentioned this in the last podcast, I really don't remember, but like, I met Hannibal Buress, and when I met him, I could tell that just by how he was acting. Like, he was himself. He's exactly how he seems in all the interviews and everything he's been in. He's very that mellow, very funny, but like very dry sense of humor kind of thing.
Mhm.
And the way he delivers is really funny. It's just the same. But I could tell that afterwards, people kept asking him for pictures, and I was the one taking the pictures because I was kind of like his host. And I could just tell that, like, yeah, he was down to do it because he knows that he has to do it. Like, he knows in his mind, like, this is part of my job.
Yeah.
But I could tell, like, he didn't really want one. And when he had asked me, he's like, do you want a picture? Because I think he was waiting for me to ask after I had taken all these photos. And I was like, no, it's okay. It was great meeting you. I have to go do something. Like, I had to go.
Even though
do
you did want one.
Oh, 100%. I would have loved it. But I was like, I just took like 6 different photos with you. The last thing you want to do is take another photo. Like, I totally get it. You're just
Yeah.
trying to leave or like I think he was trying to get a tour of the studio that we were in. So I was just like, no, it's totally fine. I have to go do something really quick, but it was great meeting you. And I could tell that he was like, thank you. It was great meeting you too. And I know it's like very little, and I probably was reading into it, but I was like, you know what? I didn't make his day by any means, but it was probably nice to him to see like, okay, like this girl was just like, and I'm younger. Like I was one of the younger ones in there, so I think he was just expecting me to be the most like, I know you've seen all your comedy, which I have. Like I knew who he was.
Yeah.
But it's always interesting. So I guess we can agree that like fandom, okay, super stalking, not okay, and just remembering that they also have bad days or they have their own personal issues too, and they can't always help you out or make you feel fantastic because they have their own things to worry about, own family, own friends that they have to worry about. That's where we have to figure. That's like it's like a jumble. It's like a hanging game here.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. On the other side of the coin, we have to talk a little bit more about the actual dehumanization of celebrities in less of like a stalking sense or like a human, like, oh, they're just like us, we're human too. But more in like the wanting, like loving them so much and wanting to be them. So one of the examples that I have is a guy named Toby Sheldon. He actually died pretty recently. He was a 33-year-old guy, and he spent over $100,000 on plastic surgery to look just like Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Now, this is not the only case of this. There are plenty. There's videos all over the place. There's like the top 10 people that had the most surgery to resemble a celebrity.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it gets really
dicey.
Yes. Like, I feel like I would never change my face to like specifically look like a celebrity. You know, I wouldn't like put up a picture and be like, I want this nose from so and so.
It's just unrealistic.
It's very hard. You'll never get the same effect.
I think even looking at this guy, like, he was like pretty like handsome before he had all this plastic surgery. Like, it did not make him look like Justin Bieber at all.
No, it didn't. We'll post a picture with this podcast.
I feel bad that he like wasted so much money on that, and I mean, clearly he had psychological issues, and I mean, he committed suicide, so there was obviously underlying things that were going on, but the fact of the matter that he was going to plastic surgeons that were like taking all these ridiculous requests because they were making money, and I mean, I don't know, it makes me sad. Because I could go to a plastic surgeon right now and say, oh, I want to look like Kim Kardashian. Like, I could get a liposuction in everywhere except...
Put it in your butt?
My ass. No, everywhere except my butt. Take all the fat out of the rest of my body and inject it straight into my butt.
That would be intense. And they would do it. Because you're paying them to do it.
Yeah.
So... that's always interesting because it's like, I know you were talking to me. I didn't realize this, but you said Trisha Paytas. She wanted to look like, what was her name? I can't think of her.
I mean, I don't think
Pamela
she purposely tried to look like Pamela Anderson. I just think a lot of women were like very drawn to that. Like,
to those big lips.
Blonde hair, big lips, big boobs.
Because you had told me that when you were like, she resembles Pamela Anderson. And once you pointed that out, I had realized, or I had noticed, like, wow, like, that really is what she looks like. That is so bizarre.
Yeah.
So that is very interesting because, like, I don't know. That's where the dehumanization comes from because, like, how would you like it if somebody walked into I mean, I guess you'd be very flattered now that I think about it. But if somebody walked into a plastic surgeon and was like, I want to look like Megan Glavick. Give me that nose, those eyebrows, that eyelids.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. But, like, I would be flattered, actually, if somebody did that. But I would also be super weirded out that there's somebody out there
it isn't
kind
gonna
of
happen.
resembling me. But, like, like this guy, Toby, looking at this picture that we have right in front of us.
His hair?
The hair. That's about it. But there
maybe
is
the
something
eyes?
where it's like, okay, can maybe see it. Compared to what he used to look like, what he looks like now,
so
like, I can maybe
before.
see it.
I feel like in comparison, he looked really handsome before, and now he looks, like, really bizarre. And that sucks, just that he got to that point. And he became so obsessed that he, like, I don't know if you have exactly how many surgeries he had, but, I mean, it was, like, over a dozen. I saw his episode of Botched.
$100,000 worth.
And they refused to do surgery on him, which I really like. Like, any professional doctor is going to refute you for, like, a request like that.
I love that show because I love when women go in there to get more boob expansions. What do you call those? What are those called?
A boob job. I don't know.
A boob job. Another boob job to get more
Yeah.
boobage. And
They're
Terry,
just like, no.
Who else is that? Who's the other guy?
Terry and
that other guy.
Dr. I've been watching. It's been on constantly lately.
I love when they say
don't
no.
know.
I love when they're like, you know what? You would look better with a boob reduction.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
and
like,
too-
yes, make them healthier. Like,
But a
I
lot of these-
understand that they want something and it's in their mind that that is what's going to make them look better. But it's also like, no.
Well, and they go to these like shady places, you know? They go to the back of the alley. They go to different countries where
That
it's
is
not
true.
regulated, where it's not healthy. And then they go to like the botched doctor and they're like, fix me, because they have such horrible like physical reactions to that, all because they wanted to look like someone.
There was this one lady who I saw on Botch. This is kind of unrelated, but she got a nose job from somewhere, and it got infected. So there was just like a hole in her nose or something like
Yeah.
that. And she went to Botched, and they like tried to take some skin from a different part of her nose and put it on that part of the nose, and it looked way better. Like, they did a great job. But like, just imagine going in there being like, hey, I would love to look like Kim Kardashian. Can you inject my lips with something? And then it getting infected, and then you just look even worse.
Right.
And that would be so bad. Like, already your mental health for wanting to change your body, not your mental health, but your perception of yourself is already a little skewed because
Yeah.
you want to change how you look because you don't like how you look. So just imagine not looking the way you thought you were going to look and just being even more.
Well, Kylie Jenner is a perfect example of that with the lip injections. I think she was 18 when she got them, but maybe she was a little younger.
I think she was younger.
And when she got those lip injections, everybody was getting lip injections. I feel like a lot of like Instagram models and like influencers, quote unquote, even though I hate that word, influencers and like people, and even like the Kylie Jenner lip challenge, like kids were like sucking on like the
Yeah.
shot glasses
yeah.
to get that look of the big lips,
I
all
remember
because
that.
she had them. Not that there hasn't been other, you know, celebrities and porn stars even that like have had that big lip look that when she first got it, it didn't look good. She'll even admit it looked ridiculous. They were huge. But because she had them, everybody wanted them.
I guess in a way, as a celebrity, having that happen where you're kind of a trendsetter is always a positive thing, like knowing you have that much influence. But then that's also very hard because then on you as the celebrity, you're always like, okay, I have to do all the right things. Otherwise, it will be out in the media. Like, people will know that I'm getting lip injections, or people will know that I smoked that weed at the concert that I
Right.
was performing. Like, people know everything, and that's always so hard because there are so many, like, opinionated people. Like, we're here giving our opinions on certain things. So, like, people have opinions about everything. So what I'm trying to say is, like, as a celebrity, always having, like, people you don't even know constantly putting their opinions out there. Even if you don't care about what they have to say, you still hear it. It still resonates with you. You're still like, oh my gosh, like I have an example written down here where it's like back when Rihanna was dating Chris Brown and he beat her and she posted the pictures of her face. Like, people were making jokes about her face. Like, that was, like, that became a joke. Like, it became a punchline. So just knowing that your physical pain or whatever happened to you as a celebrity is being put out there, people are either going to make jokes about it or be like, well, she shouldn't have been with him if she knew that he was going to be, like,
Yeah.
you don't know. Like,
I mean, I think we're moving a little bit away from that with like the Me Too movement. Like it's more of like celebrated is not the word I'm looking for, but it's more of like accepted. Like, women are coming forward and, you know, saying they've been victims of sexual assault or abuse or misconduct, and other women are backing them up, you know, saying like, I believe you, or I've experienced this, which I think is kind of cool. I can also see how that can become I'm saying a lot. I can see how that can become almost romanticized, the Me Too movement. Like, seeing all these women coming forward, like, there's some people that are like, oh yeah, me too, but maybe, like, you know, how can you compare something really minuscule happening to you to someone that was, like, a victim of,
rape or something.
right, something catastrophic. So it's always is and will be a double-edged sword.
Yeah, with the Me Too movement, I'm glad that people are finally speaking out about things and like seeking the help that they may need, or like letting the people that harm them get what they deserve, kind of all that stuff. But it's also like you said, double-edged sword. There are people that are being like, Me Too, he touched my butt at a bar. Like, that's, I mean, I get it.
That's,
like, you,
yeah.
like, it's gross. Like,
It
tell him to get
sucks.
away. But also, that's not the same as, like, being raped or, you know, something along
Right.
those lines. Like, not just with guys and women. Like, I know a lot of women have been coming out, but, like, Me Too with men, like, that's starting to become more of a thing, too, where men are talking about their experiences being, like, touched by a woman or something like that when they were younger. So it's just, like, I don't know. I am all for the Me Too movement. Speak out if something happens. Don't be afraid. Like, people will be there to help you out. Like, you're not gonna be in trouble because of something that somebody did to you, or you were stuck in a bad situation.
Yeah.
But also, like, if a guy holds the door open for you, not Me Too. No.
Right. Yeah, I think we're more so getting at, like, don't, like, it shouldn't be something that because celebrities do it, it's like an imitation of behavior that people are like seeing that celebrities do it, so like, oh yeah, me too, if a celebrity's doing it, so can I. Like with the lip injections, like Kylie Jenner's getting lip injections, I'm gonna suck on a glass cup. It's not the same thing. And I'm not laughing because it's funny, because I don't want to, I never, like, the reason that I find it so serious is because I don't want it to reach a point where we're discrediting actual victims of abuse, because there's so many people saying, like, the most minuscule things. So, whatever. We don't need to go too far off on that. At the end of the day, we're talking about celebrities and, like, just glamorizing them. And even horrible things like sexual assault, where, like, oh, like, time to talk about it because they are.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I always love when a celebrity gets involved in something that is very serious, because I like knowing as a person, like, knowing, like, in my mind, when I think of a celebrity, I usually don't think that they have mental issues or they are depressed or that they have, like, body image problems. Like, I never think like that. You never do, because they're in the limelight all the time. They have to be in front of cameras and video cameras all the time. So you just assume that they are comfortable with being like that, or being, you know, without makeup, because they're like, oh, I know that I'm hot, or I know that I'm successful. I don't need to be all these things. But typically, they are the most self-conscious and, like, the most, like, mentally all not there and having their dark days with depression and all that stuff, because they always come out and talk about it later on, like, way later on. So I always think it's interesting when a celebrity does something more serious right off the bat, like, before you even know, like, oh, they try to commit suicide, or, oh, they have an alcoholism problem. You know, like, when they just kind of jump on a train, not really a train, but, like, starting the train.
Yeah.
Like, for Selena Gomez, she produced 13 Reasons Why. And I thought that was interesting, because, like, I never would have pegged her as somebody who, like, she's not. I don't believe she's depressed or anything. I think she's had some, like, anxiety, something back in the day, if I remember correctly, but she just kind of was there to help make a platform for people with issues like that who want to talk about, like, being sexually assaulted or whatever the case may be, or suicide. Like, it's just kind of a platform where they can allow other people to talk about it, or make it more known, like, hey, this happened.
Yeah.
Who wants to talk about it? Although I liked 13 Reasons Why. I didn't watch the second season. When I watched the first season, I was like, this is interesting. Like, it's a very interesting show. But I just didn't like that they, in a way, it was like a trend-setting thing. Because I feel like a lot of people watched that show who were depressed and were like, oh, this is great. I can make all the people that made me sad or made me feel like crap feel something by putting out tapes or writing notes and, like, blaming people. And I never think that that's the case. Like, if you're going to kill yourself, it's not because Susie picked on you when you were in high school. There's, like, a deeper lining thing with that, but I understand that things can push people over the edge. But it's more, it's a mental thing. It's not like, oh, because so-and-so picked on you in high school, that's the reason I'm going to kill myself, so I'm going to blame him and make him feel like crap for the rest of his life.
Yeah. I think it goes back to, like, glamorizing it almost. Like, you see a movie of, like, what this will look like if it happens to you, and that's not the goal. You know, that's not Selena Gomez's goal, is to have
No.
people see, like, people committing suicide and, like, you know, bringing a positive light to it. It's just trying to show that this is what could happen. I think the issue is that we, like, I don't feel like it always was like this either. I feel like now this is becoming more and more of a problem. Like, kids are so influenced by celebrity. I mean, that's literally what we're talking about. But I think of, like, the Bird Box movie. Did you watch it?
I did not watch it, but I know it's like if you open your eyes, you want to kill yourself, right?
Right.
It's like
Basically,
a suicide thing.
Right,
or
but in the
homicide.
movie, I mean, even besides the suicide aspect of it, basically Sandra Bullock is blindfolded, and she has to be blindfolded to communicate everywhere. Like, not to communicate. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked.
Sorry, I'm laughing because Megan's wearing mittens in the studio.
I'm talking
right
a lot with my hands and wearing mittens because I'm freezing.
Sidetrack. Okay, back to what you.
But anyways, Sandra Bullock is blindfolded, and she has to get around by, you know, being blindfolded, touching and feeling her way around.
Right, yeah.
And it sparked this Bird Box challenge where people were driving blindfolded because they saw a movie. And
Yes, I read about that.
people were telling Netflix that you should remove the movie from Netflix because of this challenge.
How about you just don't drive blindfolded? How about that?
But it's like, okay, there's been a million movies. I don't go see, like, Saw and start killing. I'm not going to start the kill people with the Saw challenge. Like, I don't understand when it's become so much of a, like, we see, like, monkey see, monkey do. Like, we're going to watch a movie and then we're going to go do that. Or we're going to watch these YouTubers and do that. Or see a celebrity doing something and do that.
Yeah,
And maybe because we are so glued to our phones and our screens, like, we're more influenced by our actual media than real life.
You always gotta wonder, like, bringing it back to the last episode we did about virality and all that stuff. You have to wonder if, like, these young kids see movies like Bird Box, they think, oh, I'm gonna do the Bird Box challenge. I'm gonna film myself walking around doing mundane tasks without being able to see, and then it just gradually gets more and more and more dangerous, like driving. Like, I believe what I read was, like, this girl, and I don't know if they were filming it necessarily, but this girl, this guy were in the car. The guy was not blindfolded, the girl was blindfolded, and she crashed into another vehicle. I don't think anyone got injured, but it was just like,
Still.
what, like, why is this even a thing? Like, you know that it's dangerous to do that. You get in the car blindfolded and you know that it's dangerous. Even if the person next to you can see, like, you know that it's not okay.
But then for them to go blame the movie or blame Sandra Bullock even, like, do you not know that if you watch a movie, you shouldn't do what you saw in the movie because it's a movie and not real life?
I hate when people are like, so true. I hate when people are like, oh, this is showing this, so you have to get rid of that. How about if I'm watching Bird Box, you as a human being should know that it is not okay to do something like that. Like, we should just collectively agree that driving blindfolded is not okay. You know, eating Tide Pods, not okay. What else? Jumping out of a moving vehicle, like,
Yeah,
the Paul brothers do,
I'm glad you brought up Tide
not
Pods.
okay. Like,
Because that's
we-
another just, like, what?
like, you know it's not okay. You're doing it as, like, this weird,
Like a meme.
like a weird way, like a meme, or, like, just trying to get yourself out there and doing the most bizarre thing ever. Like, there was this one video that I saw. This is, like, kind of a side tangent thing, but there was this one video I saw. I didn't see it. It was, like, a video about a video, and it was a boyfriend or a couple, like, one of them shot the other one.
I saw
and,
that.
like, killed their significant
She
other
shot her
just
boyfriend.
to get famous. Or something.
He was holding, like, a book, a Bible, I think.
And she killed him, right? Like, he died.
She shot the Bible, and it went through, and he died.
And they were doing it to get famous.
Yeah.
Like, that was why they were doing it. So, like, it's kind of a side tangent, but it's kind of like people will do anything to get famous because they watch all their favorite celebrities, like, be wealthy and be able to get away with things. And that's the other thing. Like, celebrities can get away with a lot of stuff. Like, R. Kelly, I don't know what's going on with him right now. I haven't been keeping up, but, like, he's a creep. Like, he has been having, like, a sex cult for years with these underage girls.
Yeah.
He peed on the one girl that was, like, 14, 15. Like, he is disgusting. But yet, his record label hasn't dropped him yet. Like
No, they did.
They did.
Sony
Oh,
dropped him.
blessed. I was gonna say
So-
like they can get away with a lot of weird stuff. Like what's his face?
the amount of time it took is kind of surprising.
It took way too long. Exactly, and it's just kind of like, do they really have that much? I mean, I think for him, everyone can agree that he's like really disgusting. There are some people where it's like they do something like Chris Brown, like he is still making music and he beat a woman. I understand like he was younger at the time and people make mistakes and people are stupid, like never hit a woman, but he was really young, which isn't really an excuse, but it was like now he's still making music and people have kind of forgotten that that was even a thing.
Right.
So it's just bizarre how all these celebrities can get away, even
And
like
people still support him. Well, look at I'm gonna say it wrong, but like 6ix9ine
oh yeah,
that just got arrested. He literally killed someone. Like he's gonna be in jail for, if not forever, a really long time. People still support him and listen to his music.
yeah. There was something I was listening today, and I guess I was with my friend Kyle, and I guess my boyfriend Kyle. He he was listening to some band, and as he was listening to it, he's just like, "Oh, this band's so good," and then he was just like, "Too bad the lead singer is an actual baby rapist," and I was like, "This guy literally rapes babies," and he was like, "Yeah, he's in jail. It's disgusting. I shouldn't even be listening to this," and I was just like,
Yeah.
his music is still on Spotify and he rapes babies.
Yeah.
Like that's where I'm like, ew. Like that is so gross.
Yeah, I think I know we spoke negatively of the Me Too movement, but I mean we were more talking about like the negative aspect of like people muddling it down. But on a positive note of the Me Too movement, I think it's a good thing that people are, I think, being a little bit more proactive on things like that. Like I know with the R. Kelly situation, like Lady Gaga removed her song with R. Kelly.
Oh, really? Yeah. See,
There
that's
was like actually several artists. I can only think of Lady Gaga, but I know like
I think
after
Taylor Swift, I think she had a song and she removed it with him.
after she did, like others followed. Like I think that's a positive direction. Like that's what should happen. Like we
Yeah.
shouldn't. We need to put an end to it by saying like you will lose everything.
Yeah.
You're not gonna still be supported after that.
Yeah, I agree because they do have a weird bubble around them.
Yeah.
Like Justin Bieber has done so much crap just to like.
I mean, nothing on that level.
No, nothing on that. But like he's just done so many things where if anyone else did that, arrested or in a lot of trouble. Like he just
Right.
kind of gets bailed out or whatever, and it's just kind of like looked past. I don't know any specifics on me, but like it's insane. I'm pretty sure he peed on somebody. Like not
Yeah.
sexually, like he peed on a fan or something to get him away from him.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, really? I know for back in the day, Bona Beef, like the two owners, like they sprayed a hose at people that were protesting and they got like aggravated assault. But Justin Bieber peeing on fans doesn't get anything. Like, really?
Yeah.
That's when I'm like, there's just these random things where it's like they can get away with it, but a normal, quote unquote, a normal human who's not a famous person who has people all around them just like trying to help them get out of things, you know?
Can't. Yeah.
It's just like Kevin Spacey. Like he's also disgusting with all the child pornography or whatever he does. But he's like, I don't know, he's being very bizarre. Like he's been seen in public wearing hats that are kind of, I gotta find it because I don't know exactly off the top. But he's worn hats where it's just kind of like a comeback hat where he's like, I'm
Yeah.
making my comeback. And it's like, did you do this on purpose to gain more popularity? Like, were you just putting it out there that you're like a weird child pornography addict, whatever it is, just so that people figure out more about you and like make you more famous?
Oh, that's
Because there's
crazy. I didn't know
always,
that.
like, yeah, you didn't. Google, go pull it up. But like, you never know. Like they always say, like even bad press is good press because it gives you more exposure. So you have to wonder if there's just some things that happen where their publicist is like, yeah, we're putting this out there so people will try to learn more about you or get your name out there, even if it
Yeah.
is in a negative light.
I mean, I think in situations like with Kevin Spacey, 60 women came forward. It's not like if it's like one or two people from 50 years ago, that's a little bit harder, not that that's invalid. It's just a lot harder to prove. But you have 60 women coming forward. 60. Like, that's...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he's doing this for publicity necessarily, but it's just kind of like, there is a comical aspect to what he's doing now, because I found the picture. It's a picture of him wearing a hat that says retired after he kind of got shunned from the movie world. So, like, he's trying to make it funny, but it's like, you were sick. You were disgusting. Like, this isn't a funny situation. You don't make light of this kind of situation, And that was fairly recent. Like, it's him walking out with a Domino's box. It's kind of funny. Like, the picture's funny. But it's just, like, that's just so... And he's, like, smiling in the photo. Like, you would think if you're getting all of these sexual allegations toward you because you're creepy or, like, you do bad things to people and sexually assault people, then, yeah. You should not be smiling, holding pizza and wearing a hat that says retired.
Right. And it's disrespectful. And even if he didn't do it, it's still disrespectful. Like, to people that have had that done to them. You know what I mean? Like, I feel bad. Like, I do feel bad for men that get like, they get wrongfully accused and they didn't actually do anything. That's again where I see this, like, kind of double-edged sword thing come in, because that can destroy your life and destroy your career. But when there's evidence and proof, like, it's not a joke and it's not funny. And I think a lot of men have, like, done a lot of things that they wouldn't, quote unquote, consider sexual assault or sexual misconduct, but it's affected these women for 10 plus years. Like, it's a big deal. Like, I don't get why any celebrity would make a joke of that.
Oh, I know. The retired hat really is what threw me off. Like, really retired because you're being forced out of your public limelight? Like,
I don't know.
I thought that was ridiculous.
Anyway.
But I agree with you. Like, I always feel bad when men get, like wrongfully accused of things, but I also feel really bad when women take things to the next level. Like, I know for me, where I work, like, you grow close to people that you work with, obviously. Like, you talk to them every day, you see them all the time, you see them on Facebook, you know about their kids, whatever it may be. But there are some guys at my work who don't, like, I'm a hugger. Like, a lot of people there are huggers. Like, I'll hug a lot of my coworkers, male, female, whatever. My bosses, I'll hug. Like, it's totally fine. Nothing sexual, nothing weird. But I do notice that there are some of my coworkers who just don't want to hug because they're just like, I don't want this ever to come back and bite me in the ass later on in life.
Yeah.
Because there are women out there who take things to the next level and are like, they hugged me inappropriately. And it works. Like, it does get them into trouble. And I think that's not fair. And obviously there are situations where the hug or whatever is going on is not sexual or, like, whatever it may be. But it's just, like, the fact that they have to be that cautious. Like, I'm not going to turn... Like, if you give me a hug, nice little warm little goodbye hug, whatever it is, if not, I'm not going to be like, oh, my God, like, 10 years from now, so-and-so from blah, blah, blah did this to me, like...
I think it's just a lot harder to gauge consent now.
It really is.
Yeah, it's just such a blurred line, and I can understand why men are doing that. Like, as weird as it is, I get it. I mean,
men and women. There are women that are like, oh, I can't.
At least they're like awake. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to use the term woke, but they're like, they get it. They understand that, like, actions have consequences. They don't even want to risk it, which is sad, but it's just kind of the way things are.
It's a very, very interesting world we live in here.
It's scary. I'm sad by Kevin Spacey's, like, hat.
Are you reading about it right now?
No, I just think that's so rude.
Oh,
like, after
very
what
rude.
he did. Oh, like, if R. Kelly did that right now, like, he would
be murdered.
I feel like even from the time that news about Kevin Spacey came out, we've progressed. Like, if R. Kelly did that, it would not fly. So I don't know. I think even, like, Bill Cosby, like, so many people just think it's a joke, and it's funny, but it's not.
Like, they try
it's
to make
people's
light
lives.
of a situation, yeah. And
Man.
then you always
These
have to, like,
celebrities.
I know, right? We went off on a lot of tangents in this
Yeah.
podcast, but it's very
we need to
hard.
rein it in.
But it's hard to rein things in when you talk about celebrities because there's so many different aspects. Like,
yeah.
we were talking about in the beginning of the podcast about fandoms and super stalking, and that's more on the fan side of things. But then, like, we talked more about, like, the opinion overload that fans give to the celebrities and whether or not that's dehumanizing them because, like, our opinions don't matter to what them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, should we really voice it to a point where they can read about it and, like, make themselves feel worse about themselves, whatever the opinion may be? And then we touched on, like, the sexual assault allegations and how they can get away with a lot more stuff than most regular, quote-unquote, people can because they have that power, that limelight, the fans that will do anything for them. So, yeah, we went all over the place today in this little podcast, but I think what you can take away from this in general is just kind of like, if you're a fan and you're in a fandom, that's great. That's totally fine. It's a community. It's not uncommon. We've all been there. We've all had our moments where we obsess over certain, I don't even know, relationships or celebrities. Like, we've all done it. Not a problem at all. But when you take it to the next level and you are trying to go to their actual homes and you're ringing the doorbell or you're looking through the windows, like, that's when you take it to the super stalking level. So try not to do that. What else we got? What else did we touch up on this podcast?
I mean, we definitely went on a tangent with the sexual assault thing, but I think what I would want to bring, like, the message, even, like, I think in us, like, talking about this stuff, we kind of come to our own, like, conclusions on thoughts of this. Like, I just think remembering, like, a celebrity is just another human. Like, there's no reason to glamorize them. You know, you can idolize people, you can look up to people as role models, but you don't need to imitate anyone's behavior.
Yeah, you don't
like,
have
just
to change your face,
just be
your
you.
look. Yeah, just be you. That is a good thing to end
And
on.
follow people, but I mean, just don't be crazy.
Yeah,
There's no better way to put it.
like, if you're waiting by the fan bus or the tour bus after a concert, that's like that happens. That's how
That's
you're gonna meet 'em.
fun. That's appropriate.
That's appropriate. Don't have your mom come to so-and-so's door and ring the doorbell asking if they live there.
Yeah.
Don't bring your parents into it at all.
No.
Not at all.
Parents, just don't let your kids do that. Jeez Louise.
Or if you're gonna let them do that, make sure they're doing it respectfully and not invading personal space and privacy.
Yeah.
Because how would you like it if somebody was doing that to you?
There were so many. We just had like 20 takeaways.
But in a way, I think we covered it all. We
think
covered
we
every
really went
aspect.
in.
We really did it.
We really did that. So
We did the damn thing. We got this bread. We boned the scone.
Oh,
we,
no.
we did it.
No. I do think, like, I just had a kind of realization, too, when I said, like, oh, like, as we're talking about it, we come to these conclusions. Like, it's important to talk about these things. Like, even if you listen to us and you don't agree with what we're saying, like, start a conversation with someone you know or someone, like, your best friend and see what they think.
Just figure it out.
And give their 2 cents.
Boom.
Boom, mic drop.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening in on this week's podcast about celebrities, fan fictions, fandoms, dehumanization, super stalking, sexual assault, all of this stuff. We went all over the place today. Thank you for trying to really keep up and try to follow our train of thought. But that is our 2 cents. As always, you can catch us on I would assume this would be Monday. When do we post?
Monday and Thursday.
So Monday. Check
or
out
Thursday.
or Tuesday. When do we get to it? Monday is when you can catch our next podcast. I am Ashley Byhun. You can follow me on the Instagrams at Ashley Byhun. Or else you can follow
2 Cents Podcast.
2 Cents Podcast. 2_cents_podcast on the Instagrams. Megan, where can they follow you?
You can follow my creative account on Instagram, which is MG Creative Collab.
And that's it.
And that's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
And you could go and follow every celebrity you've ever loved and stalk them.
Takeaway, just become a super fan because you will become friends with them at some point.
Yeah, just bring it back. Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys for listening. See you on Monday.